Okay, so we've got not only one hangar of fun over here, we're headed off to the other hangar as well. Tell us about hangar number 2 over here.
Well, Chris, this is our second hangar. This hangar was built after World War II, and as we said in the other hangar, there was a World War II hangar, and we talked about that. So this hangar was built later on in the mid-1950s. This isn't the Smithsonian, and it certainly isn't the most beautiful hangar in the world, but the bottom line is it's the real Air Force hangar that's been here since the mid-1950s. We just have to do the best with what we've got. There's some things you can change and some things you can't. Obviously, it's not possible to heat and air condition these hangars, so if we can just keep the birds out of them, then we're happy. So let's take a look at some of the airplanes and things we have here. By the way, this is the console for the radar unit that we saw outside.
Yeah.
That was the one that was the original radar unit that was at Forbes Field that went to Billard Airport to the United States Weather Bureau that saw the Topeka tornado.
In the 66.
That's the screen right there that originally saw the Topeka tornado.
Wow.
Our friend Phil Scheidler, who's just passed away recently, watched that tornado come in, and of course WIBW newsman Bill Curtis says,
absolutely,
take cover quick. There it is, right there.
This is what told him to say it,
yes.
Right there.
And we've got plans to fix this up and try to make it look a lot more attractive and do things with it. But you know, the wheels of progress turn a little slow sometimes when you're volunteers. So
there's the typical cell phone of yesterday.
Yes, yes. What we carry around in our pockets with our phones can probably do the same thing now.
Yeah.
and rotary dial.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, let's see some of these other planes around here.
By the way, when we're passing right here, this is a World War II trainer, the BT-13, and we got this aircraft came from you always hear about the airplane that's behind the farmer's house or in the farmer's barn.
Yeah.
And you go chasing after those, and believe me, you very seldom ever find one. And a gentleman told me that there was BT-13 in the farmer's behind the farmer's house or in his barn at Colby, Kansas. And on my way to Denver, I went to looking for it, and I want to tell you, so far out in the country that you get lost finding it. I pulled up, and I couldn't see this aircraft, and I knocked on his door, and he finally took me down to see it, and this was sitting behind the big shed where he was storing corn, the big round silo thing. We purchased the aircraft, and he had 2 more in the barn. And so we bought all 3 airplanes and brought them to Topeka, and this is our display model. We have the wings for it. The wings just aren't on it right now. But we decided to take the panels on the side and cover those with plexiglass so that people could actually see the inside of the airplane, how the pilots, where their feet would be working and so on. And in fact, this is a wet wing. The fuel tanks are in the middle of the wing. And when the pilot looks down between his feet, that's where the fuel gauge is. Is between his feet. Vultee BT-13. They used to call him the vibrator, I think was its nickname.
So the moral of the story with this plane is if you put the wings back on it and take it back up there, make sure you wear pants when you're flying. Right?
There you go.
And it certainly didn't look like this when it was at the back of the hangar.
So it's a restoration project still going on, but it's pretty well getting finished. So.
Yeah.
Of course, we have a lot of displays around. This here is the tail gunner's position in a Navy airplane with the turret and the 30 caliber machine gun that we've set up. And I've never seen one of those in a museum, to be honest about it. I don't think any museum has more engines than we do. We have one of the best engine displays of any museum that you'll find, certainly in the Midwest. And in fact, when the racers come to Heartland Park, you don't see them very often looking at the airplanes. They come over here because the word's out we got engines, and they're over here wanting to look at our engines. So we have quite a lot of engines. In fact, we found out, I'll just tell you, this is a very rare engine right here was on a tire for a long time. We knew it was a very historical engine, but this hub here would tell you that this is the same engine that would have gone on Howard Hughes' racing airplane. And there were very few of these made.
Wow.
And when people come through and they get to asking you about them, they think we don't know what it is. And if they can possibly get their hands on it, that they'll have the crown jewels here. Well, we know what it is, and we love it, and so do the people who come that know what it is. So,
Wow.
so you either like engines or you don't, and those that like them love them as much as people who like airplanes.
Have a look at this huge
Wow.
helicopter.
Wow.
It's called a sky crane, or it's known as a sky crane, and it literally does pick up planes and boxes and, you know, intermodal sort of idea. But this ferried in one of our planes in the other hangar.
That's quite a span there.
It is huge.
They decided that we could have one for the Combat Air Museum. They flew it in, and they flew it right to the front door and shut it off, and we backed it in. It was flying when it got here. The thing that's unique about it is that this plane, or one like it, still holds the altitude climbing record. I am told that it's been put up against an F-15 numerous times, and this helicopter will be at 10,000 feet before an F-15 can get to 10,000 feet. Actually, besides the pilot who's flying up front, they can actually turn around backwards. The guy who sits back here can turn around backwards, and the pilot can turn this over to him, where he can watch it going on, and he can actually fly the helicopter from the back here.
Wow.
And if you look over here, this is a movie replica of a Messerschmitt, a German fighter, which they're very famous and numerous. But this was in a movie, Battle of Britain.
Oh,
movie.
wow.
So it's just a replica, but it certainly gives you an idea of the scope of the German
And even
most popular fighter.